The deadly game is reaching its breaking point as Samara faces unimaginable horrors, shocking betrayals, and the chilling truth behind the Pink Death. Will she survive this final round of Spin the Bottle from Hell, or will her soul be claimed forever?
What's that? You want to be scared? Come with me. You will experience tales of horror, ghosts, and death. It is not recommended for the weak at heart. Listen in the dark. It's more fun that way. This is Weekly Spooky.
Hello, my spookies. It's Wednesday, and you know what that means. It's time for a little spooky in your weekly. I'm your host and narrator, Enrique Couto, and tonight we have the 4th installment of Spin the Bottle, the latest mini-series from the sick mind of Strickfield creator Rob Fields. But before we get to that, I want to remind you to make sure you're subscribed on your favorite podcasting app, because we have something scary for you every single week right here. And you never know what might publish on a Friday, because we believe here at Weekly Spooky that surprises are one of the best parts of any week. So make sure you're subscribed on your favorite podcasting app and leave us a 5-star rating, whether on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, because it helps new spookies find the show. And speaking of spookies, if you want to join your fellow spookies as well as the authors and myself from this program for a little social media hangout, you can go to Facebook and type in Weekly Spooky's Tomb of Terror. It's completely free to join, and you can experience all kinds of fun news stories and mostly memes from myself, from the authors, and other spookies just like you. And if you want to support us, you can go to weeklyspooky.com/join. For as little as $1 a month, you get 2 bonus shows every single month, as well as 5 years of bonus audiobooks and so much more at weeklyspooky.com/join. But as for tonight, you followed Samara Miron this far, through the games that were anything but innocent, betrayals that cut deeper than any blade, and the terrifying presence of the Pink Death. But the story isn't over just yet. Tonight we reach the final round of the game, where secrets are revealed and fates will be sealed. Will the game finally come to its ultimate twisted conclusion? Well, you'll just have to sit back and relax, because we're finding out right after this. Previously on Spin the Bottle, Samara Miron awakens at Strickfield General Hospital to learn she's on a suicide watch. Also, her older sister, Quinn, has come to Strickfield. Though they were very close, Samara's actions with her previous girlfriends have strained their relationship. Samara is released into Quinn's custody, but refuses to go home. In light of that, Quinn reveals she's staying in Strickfield and has transferred to the university, thanks to their parents. She also becomes Samara's new dorm mate. Eventually, Grant Wild and Blake Karen find Samara and insist on talking to her. When Samara refuses, Quinn becomes the voice of reason and convinces her to speak with them. Everything is seemingly resolved when Samara and Grant get back together. Eventually, she finds herself playing another round of the Pink Death's horrible Spin the Bottle game. This time, Quinn is an unwilling participant and becomes the loser of this latest round. Samara begs and pleads for her sister's life, offering her own in exchange. The Pink Death kills Quinn anyway and tells Samara she's not allowed to die and must see the game to its bloody end. And now, Spin the Bottle, Part 4. Saturday morning. Once again, it seems like only a second from the time I fall asleep from the tranquilizer to when I wake up somewhere else. I quickly sit upright in bed and see I don't have any covers on me or clothes. Also, my wrist bandages are gone, and I'm soaked in blood. I look at my wrists again and see my stitches are still holding. Then I gasp. The blood's not mine. I have a bad feeling and look on my bed to see. I scream when I see Quinn's head in bed next to me. I tighten my fists and yell, "You fucking sick motherfucker! You sick motherfucker!" I'm really shaking when I get out of bed. As the shock continues to numb my brain, I head into the small bathroom and get in the shower. Thankfully, Strickfield U doesn't have collective dorm showers. Imagine what other girls in this dormitory would say if I came in soaked in Quinn's blood. I'm sobbing and crying as I'm trying so hard to scrub Quinn's blood off me. I groan in pain as I scrub my stitches. It's a wonder I don't break them open and bleed out. Right now, I really want to open my stitches and end it. Then I reconsider. Maybe before I wanted to die. Now I'm too afraid to attempt suicide again. It took forever, but I finally got myself clean, and without reopening my wrists. As I'm drying off and getting dressed, I'm still shaking and crying, knowing Quinn's head is still in my bed. What the fuck am I going to do? I know the right thing would be to call the police and report it. But what in the actual fuck will I tell Mom and Dad? They're really going to lose their shit. They'll probably disown me once they learn how Quinn died. I can never go home again. When anxiety takes hold of me, I hold myself. I realize I'll likely be kicked out of the university. Not just for this, but I won't have the funds to continue next semester after my parents cut me off. I've got to get away. I really don't care where I go. Far away from Strickfield as I possibly can get. Someplace where this pink death killer can't find me. It's a whole world. The killer can't possibly find me everywhere, right? I have some money left in my bank account and my passport. I can get the fuck out of this country and go live somewhere else. One way or another, the Pink Death Killer will never find me again. Suddenly, I know what Quinn would say right now. "You're running away again, bitch," she echoes in my mind. I turn to look at Quinn's severed head. "I'm sorry, big sister. I've never been as strong as you. And I never will be." I grab my purse and my keys. I don't even take my smartphone or pack a bag. I'll just wear the clothes on my back and get the fuck out of this living nightmare. I flee my dorm after closing and locking it behind me. I'll make an anonymous phone call to the police when I'm far enough away. I burst outside and reach my car. I'm about to get in when 2 hands suddenly grab my shoulders. "Stop!" a familiar voice yells. The hands turn me around to see Wildman. He's giving me that look again, like he's asking me, "Really? What is going on with you?" he asks instead. "You disappeared on me again last night." "It was that fucking Pink Death Killer again," I snap. "How does he do it? Every time I fall asleep, I end up in that attic room where we play another round of Spin the Bottle from Hell, where somebody always dies." "You keep talking about this Pink Death, Samara," Wildman emphasizes. "I still haven't seen him." I'm pissed now. "Go ask the others who were invited to play Spin the Bottle with the Pink Death. The ones who lived that are still in your fraternity can tell you they saw him too." They did, Wildman reluctantly admits. "Then why the fuck don't you believe us?" I demand. "It just doesn't sound right, Samara," he says. all of you end up in some attic room somewhere together playing Spin the Bottle where the winner loses. I groan hard. You're never there, Grant, so you don't... What? Wildman wonders. I look at him suspiciously. Unless you are there. He gives me a weird look. What are you talking about, Material Girl? Now you're scaring me. I'm pissed off now. It just occurred to me that every fucking time I'm taken by the Pink Death, I always seem to be around you. First time was at your parents' cabin when you brought me there for us to be alone. Then we went to bed together in my dorm, and I ended up playing another round of Spin the Bottle. Finally, I go out with you after we got back together in front of Quinn, my sister. One more time, I was in that room. Not only that, I grab his dark shirt. Quinn got fucking killed this time. Quinn? Wildman shrieks. She's dead? I let go of him and point accusingly. You should know. You were there every time when I'd get taken away. I shove him. What's your problem with me, huh? Did you catch me fucking one of your sisters or something? For the record, Grant has an older and younger sister. All 3 siblings are at least a year apart. Wildman grabs my shoulders. Stop it! Then he lets go of me. I don't need this shit. He turns and storms off. Then he suddenly stops. He turns and comes back to me. Again, he grabs my shoulders. No, I never caught you having sex with either of my sisters, he says right to my face. In fact, I know you didn't have sex with either of them. Every time I took you home to my parents, they weren't there. Nicole is in college over at Oberlin, and Jennifer's an exchange student in France. I raise my finger. But you were there every time I'd fall asleep, only to wake up in that attic and play that demented game. Okay, Material Girl, he returns. Exactly what motive would I have for wanting to kill you? Because you had sex with Blake? You hadn't done that until recently, and you already told me this Pink Death killer was taking you before you and Blake hooked up. So I'd say Blake's out. And again, we were technically broken up, so that means you didn't cheat on me. Also, Blake told me everything. Our friendship means too much for us to keep secrets from each other. So tell me, what could my motive possibly be?
Did you hear that? Better check the locks on your doors. Weekly Spooky will be right back.
I'm racking my brain for any kind of a motive. When I think of Quinn, I know Wildman couldn't have had any motive against her. Quinn liked him. It was one thing if Mom and Dad liked him, but Quinn was definitely the final gate. If she didn't like you, the family knew you were bad news. But Quinn liked Wildman. Remember, she went to bat for him when I tried to run away from him and Blake in our dorm room yesterday. Wildman clearly sees I can't determine a motive. He's still holding my shoulders. Maybe I'm doing it to torture you for being a Mirren. But that wouldn't be true. You and your family are the only Mirrens I've ever met. Believe me, none of your family ever made life hell for mine. You saw how well off my family is. But I keep getting taken away when I'm with you, Grant, I emphasize. Why? Wildman shakes his head in confusion. You got me, but I could never kill you, Material Girl. 1, I ain't no killer. And 2, I love you. Now I feel really bad. Then he comes into me and kisses me. I give in and kiss him back. We do so for several minutes. I barely hear someone muttering for us to get a room. We finally stop kissing and face each other. Look, Material Girl, I can't prove I'm not the killer, he admits. I'm not calling you a nut job since I know others have been murdered. It's just, I haven't seen this Pink Death character you all say you saw. I tighten my jaw. You calling us liars? No, he replies fast. I believe you. If you all say you saw a pink death, then you saw a pink death. But how do we catch him? How about we stick together? This way, maybe I can help you find the killer. But that's just it, Wild Man, I counter. It only happens whenever I'm with you. Not true, Wild Man counters back. You were also taken when you spent the night with Blake. Which means you still could have struck, I offer, not letting Wild Man off the hook just yet. He gruffs a sigh. Okay, I suppose in some crazy erotic thriller I'd be a suspect in that scenario. I mean, I know you both. I've been with you both. We just went through a breakup, though brief. Still a breakup just the same. Then you and our best friend get drunk together and have sex. Maybe I could have been right outside. Maybe I followed you, saw what you and Blake did and got pissed. I broke in, shot you both up with darts and... What you said after that. Is that what you're thinking? I nod. Material Girl, I honestly am not angry in the least that you and Blake spent the night together, he admits. Now, if you had hooked up with any other girl or another guy, then I'd probably be pissed, but it was Blake, so better her than somebody else, he sighs. I guess what I'm saying is I'll do whatever I have to prove to you I'm not a killer. I love you, so tell me, what do I have to do? I finally do shake him off. I know what I have to do. I leave Wild Man and go back to my dorm, where I get my phone and call the police to report Quinn's death. Saturday afternoon. Wild Man brings me back to his room at the Zeta Beta Tau house. He wanted to take me back to his parents' cabin, but I preferred the fraternity house since there would be people around. If the Pink Death comes for me again, how will he snatch me up in a house full of frat brothers? I was counting on safety in numbers, at least for now. Wild Man closes his door and locks it. Then he grabs a baseball bat one of the brothers left in his room and checks his closet. There's obviously no one in there. He keeps his closet, his whole room, neat and clean, unlike a few of the other rooms we passed on our way to his. Then Wild Man drops to his knees and looks under the bed. We're good, Samara, he tells me, unless this Pink Death floats through walls. I quickly turn and pull down the shade. Wild Man comes up behind me. Unless the Pink Death uses lumberjack tree climbing spikes or can scale walls like that mutant giant spider chick the Strickfield Journal reports on, I don't think he's coming in this way. I turn around to face him. We're practically nose to nose. You just never know, Grant. I'm trembling again. Wild Man steps back. I move right to him now. Don't you want to talk? He asks, seeing I'm desperate. Also, your sister just died. We will, I promise. Then I come into him and kiss him. I really need you right now. Please help me calm down. I grab Wild Man to me and kiss him. Soon we're undressing each other and having sex. I still have trust issues, but I can't talk feeling this frustrated, especially when the police told me I'd likely have to stay somewhere else for a short time until they were done investigating my dorm. And don't even get me started on all the seemingly endless questions they bombarded me with. Wild Man was there with me and told me I could stay with him. Clearly, he's not regretting that decision right now. After a few hours, we're spooning together on the floor. Feeling better? Wild Man asks. I turn so we can kiss. I can't believe how much different sex with you is compared to all the other girls I've been with. I've definitely been missing out. Well, I am your first, he reminds me. And I don't regret technically losing my virginity to you, I sigh. I suppose I'm okay to talk about things now. Any ideas on who the killer is? Wildman asks. Okay, we know you suspect me, and why. I promise you I did not kill Quinn. It's just you were always with me, meaning you might have tranked me all those times. Or you were watching Blake and me the night we slept together and came for us when we were sleeping on her couch. Your words. I groan. I just can't pin a decisive motive to you, unless you escaped from that nut house in Erie City. Wildman laughs. No, the only thing I admit to being crazy about is you. Then Blake would be the only other suspect, I conclude. Unlike you, she does have a motive. She did say she loved me, Wildman. She didn't say how she loved me. Was it as a friend? Is she wanting to be with me the way you are? And remember, you two used to be together. I know she said you two were just having sex constantly. I know Blake said she broke up with you to not lose you as a friend. But what if she's having second thoughts and wants you back in her life that way? Wildman considers me. Okay, I see where you're going, but I'm telling you it's not Blake. I've known Blake Karen since we first met in preschool. We've been in every grade here in Strickfield together, every school. And I'm being honest here, Samara. If Blake and I hadn't broken up, I'd probably still be with her. I know you love her, I say. I think I would have eventually married her, he admits further. I would never have left Blake out in the cold if we would have had a bad breakup. Until you came along, Blake and me were all we had here in Strickfield. Until I went to Ohio State last year, it was her and me against this shithole planet. I guess you're right. I still love Blake, and I always will. I turn onto my back. And me? He takes firm hold of a breast and pecks my lips. Blake is my soulmate, but you... He kisses me again. Then I let him get on top of me, and we make love for a second time. I understand what he means about Blake and him being soulmates. They're timeless friends, and they never want to lose each other. Even I couldn't come between them. I just had a thought. Let's say Wildman and me make it through this pink death shit. Let's suppose we continue to be close, and we get married. We'd have to let Blake live with us. Wildman is the only world she really knows. Then she met me and liked me enough to allow me into her world. She let me be with Wildman since she was no longer tied to him romantically. I guess I'm saying the three of us are kind of a triad. We're not in a throuple relationship, but it'll always be the three of us as long as Wildman and I stay together. Would either of us have to sleep with Blake? I really don't know. I just know I can never come in between Blake and Wildman. But is Blake really looking to force her way in between him and me? Especially since he left her here all alone last year.
You're not safe yet. Weekly Spooky will be right back.
When we're finished making love, we finally get in bed. I lay with him as it's getting dark. Wildman propped his wooden desk chair under the doorknob earlier. You okay, Material Girl? He asks. I look from the door and back to him. I just know that motherfucker will get me again. How? Wildman asks. Is he going to force his way through my door? Is he going to scale the wall to come up to my window? Is he going to break into my room by making his own secret passage somewhere? Far as I know, there ain't no trap doors in the floor. Is he going to come up through the floorboards? Is he going to drop through the ceiling? Maybe rise up out of my bed? I sigh. I just want you to be right, Wildman, about you not being the Pink Death. Christ, if you are the Pink Death, and I'm still fucking you and sleeping with you anyway, I'm definitely a head case, huh? And if it's not you, then I want you to be right about us being safe in here. Wildman and I hold each other. Before long, I'm feeling too comfortable. My naked flesh against his. Soon, I'm fast asleep. Only to again find myself in the same nightmarish attic room. One more time, I'm secured to a wooden chair that's attached to the floor. My wrists and ankles are bound tight with zip ties. Again, I have another oversized t-shirt covering my nudity. "Oh, Christ, no!" I yell. Then I see who the other 3 people around the table are. 2 of them have returned for one more round. Lita Sharp from the Alpha Delta Kappa sorority, and Willie Towpath from Wildman's frat. My eyes open real wide when I see Wildman himself will be playing Spin the Bottle from Hell for the first time. He looks really groggy. He's also got an oversized t-shirt on. The Pink Death got into Wildman's room and took both of us this time, instead of just me. "Material Girl?" he mutters drowsily. "What's going on here?" "Oh, Wildman," I groan. "I wanted you to believe in the Pink Death, but not like this." Suddenly, the Pink Death rushes right into the room, illuminated by the lights, making everybody scream. Wildman's look tells me he finally believes me. Likewise, I no longer suspect him of being this monster. Not when I'm seeing both of them in the same room. "I'm so glad you all decided to return for the final round of Spin the Bottle," we hear from all around the room. The killer comes and places the bottle in the middle of the table. "One more spin. One more of you to pay the price for breaking the rules that night." The Pink Death comes over to me. As before, I smell the same faint scent of perfume. "All this is because of you, Samara, because you refused to follow the rules. Furthermore, the girl's rule wasn't enforced." Okay, even the killer seems to be in favor of Wit for some fucked up reason. I can obviously rule out Wit since I saw her dead body hanging in my dorm room. Christ, I don't think I'll ever unsee that. Wit looked just horrible. Also, I saw the killer take her body away. By process of elimination, that only leaves Blake. There were times I landed on her before. I knowingly kissed her because I knew she wanted me to, even when she spun and landed on me. Blake was so needy that night when we slept together. Hell, so was I. I mean, our passion was very raw, and the way she caressed me in places was... "It has to be you, Blake," I tell the Pink Death. "It can only be you." The Pink Death raises a finger to me and waves it. No, Samara. We're playing Spin the Bottle, not 20 questions. You don't get to ask questions. You don't get to hold up the game. But you are here in the final round, as promised. Upon completion of this round and the game, I shall come for the rest of you, wherever you are. The Pink Death puts a hand on the bottle, and the other hand points at me. Until only you are left, Samara. From there you will have no friends. You shall be all alone after this night. No one will want you around, because they know you will only bring death to them. But I shall claim them anyway. And when only you remain, you shall belong only to me. I scream at the ceiling and fight to get free again. All I hear is that evil, echoey chuckling. Then I look at the killer. Just pull back the shroud, Blake. I know it's you. It can't be anybody else. It's just not possible at this point. Soon, my dearest Samara. So soon. The Pink Death spins the bottle. As before, it gets a few good rotations. Then it starts to slow down. More and more. Little by little. Until it finally comes to a stop. On Wild Man. I lose my shit again and roar as I try and break free. I even scream like a deranged lunatic. But still, I'm stuck right where I am, and will continue to be so, until the Pink Death decides to free me. I glare right at the bastard. For fuck's sake, just kill me! I'm here! I can't run away! You saw to that! You didn't have to kill Quinn. I was right here. You could have had me all to yourself whenever you wanted. You didn't have to kill anyone. I'm crying my eyes out now. Please, what will it take for you not to kill Wildman? Name it. I'll be your property forever and ever. You want me to fuck you? I'll do it. I sob now. Just no more killing. I told you before, and I'll have to remind you one more time, Samara. Rules are rules. Something you seem to have a hard time understanding. The Pink Death moves up behind Wildman and picks up a can of gasoline.
Don't go away. Weekly Spooky will be right back.
I keep begging and pleading as the killer empties the entire gasoline can all over Wildman. When the killer finishes, he throws it over his shoulder. Then he comes around to me. Your boyfriend has been carrying a torch for you for quite some time now, the voice echoes. Well, suppose we see what happens when he becomes the torch, shall we? I'll give you anything you want, I sob. Please, don't kill him. What do you want from me? You must see this, Samara. You must understand that you are off limits. The killer looks at Wildman. And you shall learn what it means to take that which doesn't belong to you. You violated Samara. So now, we are all in attendance for your very own funeral. Except you shall be laid to rest. By cremation. Everybody else screams as the killer produces a simple stick match. With one deliberate yet quick stroke of his thumb to the tip, the match is lit. Wildman knows he's going to die. He looks right at me and tells me his last words. I love you, material girl. And before I can say anything back to him, the Pink Death throws the match at Wildman. I scream the loudest I've ever screamed, likely beating the last time I said this, as the match lights Wildman up like a roaring furnace. I couldn't even hear any of the others screaming, especially Wildman. In fact, I'm still screaming, which will be the longest I've ever screamed. I'll be lucky if I don't get a raw throat and blow out my vocal cords. By the time I run out of what must have been a very long breath in my screaming, Wildman doesn't move. Ever again. In fact, I can't even recognize this man who swept me off my feet by looking like Eric Draven from The Crow. The flames are still smothering his entire body, but I can see how charred he quickly became. You fucking crazy bitch, Blake! I managed to get out. No, my vocal cords aren't shot just yet. You're seriously fucked up. You're beyond any kind of mental help. I hope you rot in hell! The Pink Death makes no move whatsoever to put Wildman's body out. Oh, Blake's making sure the fire doesn't get out of control by extinguishing what gets away from Wildman. Far from that, she just lets him burn until the fire goes out on its own. My emotions become too much to bear, especially when I see Lita and Willie crying. The fact they still have humanity hits me hard and makes me cry again. Also, my newest heartbreak is the absolute worst yet. Why do I always get my heart broken? The first 2 times were from cheating girlfriends, but this Wildman was taken from me by this sick bitch. It has to be Blake underneath that shroud. I haven't seen her since Wildman and me left our dorm room after our talk that Quinn moderated. Blake easily had the opportunity to grab Quinn. Also, since Blake has never really been close to any of the others involved in these sick games, aside from Wildman and I, she could have easily grabbed the others since they wouldn't have given her a second thought. It has to be Blake. I keep waiting for that bitch to pull out the dart gun and shoot all of us and put us back. No, this sick bitch is going to make us watch Wildman's body burn until the fire completely goes out. Also, I become rational enough to see that the attic window is wide open. I also see the smoke is going upward and see a vent sucking it out. No wonder nobody's choking or gagging in here. As the flames are dwindling, the Pink Death looks my way. Then the voice echoes around us again. It's then when I finally see one of the speakers being used to convey the voice. I did say this was the final round, didn't I? I guess this means it's time to finish with a grand finale. And without warning, the Pink Death reveals what looks like a shotgun. Before Lita can even scream, the killer takes quick aim and fires to blow the top of her head clean off. Lita no longer has hair or eyes as the top of her skull lands by the open window. I can see the remainder of her brains inside what's left of her head. The Pink Death cocks the gun and then shoots Willie in the head as well. Unlike Lita, his head just flies apart in different directions. Since he was sitting to my right, some of his blood, skull, and brain matter end up on me. I'm too emotionally distraught to be disgusted at this, even at the sight of blood oozing out of Brett's stump of a neck where his head used to rest on. I look at the Pink Death. Go ahead, Blake, you insane bitch. Just kill me. I don't care anymore. You've taken everything from me. Everything! Blake puts the gun on the table. Not everything. Then she produces the tranq gun again. Our game is not finished yet, Samara. We had our final round of spin the bottle, but you and we still have one final round to play ourselves. Just you and me. One last time, I shall put you back. Until such time, when I'm ready for us to play one last time. The dart hits my shoulder. I'm so exhausted physically and emotionally, I pass out fast. Late Sunday afternoon. When I wake up, I'm too pissed off to let what's left of the tranq keep me in and out of sleep. I sit up and see I'm inside Wildman's parents' cabin. Could Blake have been any more insensitive in putting me here, knowing I'll never be able to wake up next to him ever again? Christ, this hurts so bad. I never told Wildman I loved him when he said he loved me. But now I know I feel something for him. I'll never be able to forget his final words to me. I love you, material girl. He never made fun of me because I was totally into the 80s and dressed like Madonna from that era. He truly loved me, for me, not for my name or status. I head into the bathroom and get in the shower. I sob as I try to scrub myself clean of the smoke and Willie Towpath's remains. It might as well be Wildman's remains too, since the smoke came off his body. After I finish my longest shower ever, I dry off and leave the bathroom. When I finish, I see my smartphone is next to the bed. I'm surprised Blake actually left both clothes and my phone. I snatch it up and immediately call Blake. Straight to her voicemail. Surprise, surprise. I call Blake's number a few more times with the same results, but I've got a few ideas on where she might be. I could go to her loft where we had sex that night, but my gut feeling tells me she won't be there. She won't make it that obvious, which leaves only one other place. I leave Wildman's parents' cabin for the final time and use my phone's GPS to guide me to the other side of the village. I have one other memory where Blake and I were on our own. We didn't fool around, but we did spend the night together, like we were having a sleepover. I finally reached my destination and am standing outside Blake's parents' summer house. She told me once that her parents come here to spend their summers before heading back to Erie City for the off-season. My hunch pays off when I see light in the basement. I go to the back door and it's unlocked. Blake is expecting me. I go inside and into the kitchen. I look through the drawers for a knife. Shit, they're all empty. In fact, there's nothing here to use as a weapon. Very smart, Blake. I have no choice. I go to the basement door and head downstairs. I let my flustered emotions get the better of me, because there's no way in hell I'm prepared for what's next. When I reach the bottom of the stairway and turn, I scream when I see all the bodies hanging by their necks on nooses. Everybody from the Spin the Bottle from Hell games, except for 3, which are laying side by side. They have to be the headless corpses of Willie Towpath, Lita Sharp, and Quinn. Even the charred skeleton of Wildman is hanging by a noose. The bodies that still have flesh have their wrists slit as well. I also see fresh bodies, ones that weren't in any of the killer's games. I immediately recognize them as everybody else from our original Spin the Bottle game, that night in the frat house. Even Whit Dalton's disgusting body is among them. She looks like she's decomposed even further. Makes sense since she was the first one to die weeks ago. She looks just hideous at this point. Blake truly got everybody. The 2 of us are the only ones left now. "I'm here, Blake, you bitch!" I yell. "Come out here and face me, you fucking coward, without the fucking costume!" Then I hear a noise and turn to see Blake herself was going to grab me from behind. "I'll fucking kill you!" I roar at her. Before Blake can say anything, I lash out and lay into her. I don't give a shit if I fuck up my hand again or not. Blake cries out when I blacken her eye and knock her to the floor. Fortunately, I don't re-break my hand. I quickly get on her and start throwing punches. Blake suddenly grabs me and the 2 of us tumble over each other. We're both throwing punch after punch and screaming like wild banshees. But I truly underestimate Blake. She shows me. She knows how to fight. She must have had some kind of training because she's easily blocking my strongest blows and kicks. Then she does a few moves and eventually locks me to her from behind. "You put up a hell of a fight, Samara," Blake says in my ear. "You need to hear the truth, but I know you won't listen when you're carrying on like this." Blake shoves me away, When I turn around, she pops me right between the eyes fast. I drop like a ton of bricks and land on my side. Before I pass out, I hear Blake again. When you wake up and are calm enough, I'll tell you the whole truth and nothing but. And then I pass out completely. Well, my spookies, things have certainly heated up. I guess you'll just have to wait till next Wednesday to find out exactly what's going on in this demented game of spin the bottle that Samara has found herself caught in. Is everything as it seems? Is Blake really the Pink Death, or is there something even deeper and more scandalous going on? Well, I look forward to finding out just as much as you. So make sure you're subscribed on your favorite podcasting app, because we'll be back next Wednesday with the thrilling and bloody conclusion of Spin the Bottle. You won't want to miss it, I assure you. And I want to say a big thank you to everybody who's joined up over on Patreon. We have almost 100 of you right now supporting us every month with as little as $1 and getting all kinds of bonus content, including 2 shows every single week. We really do appreciate it. It means the world to me, and it really helps the show keep going and going and going, because we've done over 5 years and we have no intention of stopping. So go to weeklyspooky.com/join and become a supporter today. And speaking of, I want to say an extra special thank you to our Patreon podcast boosters, folks who pay a little bit more to hear their names at the end of the show. And they are Jessica Fuller, Johnny Nix, Jenny Green, Amber Hansford, Brent McCullough, Karen Wiemet, Jack Kerr, and Craig Cohen. Thank you all so much. And if you want to hear your name at the end of the show out of my spooky, silky voice, all you have to do is go to weeklyspooky.com/join and select a tier at $15 a month or higher. It really does make a huge difference. It allows us to keep coming up with more and more content, giving you bonuses and so much more at weeklyspooky.com/join. But now it's time for me to get back to it, because we have something very special planned for Friday. I'm not exactly sure yet what it is. It's one of those weeks, but for myself, for my producer Dan Wilder, my composer Ray Mattis, and my executive producers Rob Fields, Mark Shields, and Bobbletopia.com, I will talk at you later.
Thank you for listening. Make sure to find your way back next week. But for now, you are safe. Trust me.